Let me ask you something strange. What would it take for you, right now, as you are, to confess to something you didn't do? I'm talking about a serious crime, something unforgivable. You didn't do it. You know you didn't. So what would it take for you to say, fine, I did it? No, really, think about it. Because over 1/4 of all DNA-based exonerations in the US involved people who confessed to crimes they didn't commit. And if you think that would never be me, you'd be exactly the kind of person I'd worry about. Welcome to the darker corners of human psychology. I'm Doc Tonic, professor, researcher, connoisseur of curiosity, and today we're talking about one of the most mind-bending phenomena in modern justice: false confessions. Stick around, this one's going to change how you see people, maybe even yourself.
New York in the late 1980s was a completely schizophrenic, divided city.
New York's now the capital of racial violence.
Last night, a woman jogger was found unconscious and partially clothed in Central Park. She was beaten and sexually assaulted.
These young men were guilty. It was almost unquestioned.
April 1989, New York City. A young woman is brutally attacked while jogging in Central Park. The city goes into a frenzy. 5 teenage boys, black and Latino, ages 14 to 16, are picked up by police. They were in the park that night. That's about it. There's no physical evidence linking them to the crime, no DNA, no eyewitnesses. But after hours of interrogation, some of them questioned for over 30 hours, they all confess on camera. Case closed, right? Wrong. The confessions don't match each other at all. One says they hit her, another says he just watched. One places the crime near the lake. She was found nowhere near there. It doesn't make sense, but it doesn't matter. The videos are enough. They're convicted. Some of them serve over a decade in prison. But in 2002, the real attacker, a man named Matthias Reyes, confesses. And this time, the DNA does match. The boys, now men, are exonerated, innocent all along. So the question becomes, why did they say they did it? Let's break that down. Your brain is brilliant. But under pressure, it's also surprisingly pliable. Most false confessions don't happen because someone's stupid. They happen because of a perfect storm of stress, fear, and a little psychological engineering. Interrogators in the US often use something called the read technique, designed to get a confession, not necessarily the truth. Here's how it works. Isolate the suspect, lie about the evidence, your friend already said you did it, offer a moral excuse. Just admit it. We understand you were angry, scared. Combine that with no food, no sleep, no lawyer, and suddenly your brain isn't calculating the truth anymore. It's calculating survival. So you say whatever you think will end the nightmare. And if you're young, like those boys, the risk skyrockets. Now, psychologists have identified 3 flavours of false confession, each one a little more disturbing than the last. Firstly, voluntary. The person offers a false confession without pressure, maybe for attention. Maybe they believe they're guilty somehow. Rare, but it happens. Secondly, compliant. This is the big one. You know you're innocent, but you confess to escape the stress. You're exhausted, scared. You just want to go home. Thirdly, internalised. This one's the gut punch. After enough pressure, some people actually start to believe they committed the crime. Their memory rewrites itself. Think that's impossible? Your memory's not a tape recorder. It's a storyteller. And under pressure, it tells some very dark stories. So, who's most likely to falsely confess? You might think it's weak people, but that's not it. It's teenagers, because the decision-making part of their brain isn't fully developed. People with cognitive impairments or mental health conditions. And, surprisingly, innocent people. Yep, innocent people are more likely to waive their rights, talk to police, and try to explain everything because they trust the system, because they think the truth will win. But in that little room, under those conditions, the rules change. The exonerated 5 spent their youth behind bars. They missed graduations, holidays, life. When they were freed, some people still believed they were guilty. That's the power of a confession. It sticks, even when it's false. And they're not alone. Hundreds of innocent people have confessed to crimes they didn't commit. Some were sentenced to death, because once a confession is made, everything else, facts, DNA, logic, takes a backseat. Now, maybe you're still thinking, I'd never confess if I didn't do it. But here's the thing, people don't crack because they're dumb, they crack because they're human. Sleep deprivation, psychological pressure, manipulation, loneliness. That's not fiction, that's science, that's documented. So when you hear someone say, well, they confessed, case closed, you stop, you think, and you ask, why did they confess? And what was done to make them say it? If this made you rethink what you thought you knew, good. That's what we do here. I'm Doc Tonic, and every week we dive into the strange, the psychological, and the stories that make us question everything. So, hit that like button, subscribe if you're curious, and leave a comment. What would you have done in that room? Until next time, stay sharp, stay human, and don't sign anything without a lawyer.